This is a disclaimer for the podcast. Please be mindful and respectful of everyone's opinion on and off the podcast. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on the podcast are solely the speaker's own and not IW's. The podcast may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to suicide, abuse, violence, severe mental illness, incarceration, drugs, and poverty. This podcast is meant as a learning opportunity for everyone involved, and opinions expressed can change at any time. Thank you, and please enjoy the podcast.
So I'm gonna ask you a question, Ashley. When you were talking about diversion programs, you specifically say you don't want us to label therapy as therapy. Do you mind explaining why that could be a little bit,
Yes. So the reason why I said that is because when you go to youth and they know they've done something bad, you don't want to go to them and say, oh, I know you did this, and just go to therapy. They're going to feel like even more worse. They already know they've done something bad, and they do want to make up for it. But instead of doing that, you could sit down with them, have a talk with them, get to know them, get to know their hobbies. And along the line, you can introduce therapy as an option, but not just boldly throw it out there and expect that that is what they would be comfortable with.
Okay. Sam, do you agree with what Ashley said?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So I want to ask you guys a question. So we are all immigrants to this country, and I'm pretty sure most of us experienced culture shock, right?
Oh.
And on top of that, we have our parents who are very conservative, regarding this issue, this incarceration issue. So do you think something should be done about that? And how can culture shock, lead someone the wrong way?
Yes, culture shock is very, very big here, especially for immigrants. You come here, you think this is the land of the free, of the great. You think, oh, I'll just come here and the opportunities will just keep coming because that's what we thought when we were back in Africa. But no, that is not the case. You come here, you see people dressed differently. There's a whole bunch of different looking people, different races, ethnicities. You don't even know where you belong. They try to put you in a bracket. You still don't feel comfortable in there. And then you start to figure out, oh, there's mental health. Oh, there's incarceration, domestic abuse. And you start to wonder, what is going on? Where do I fit in here? You yourself start to change, start to grow. And then you wonder, who do you turn to? Do you turn to your parents? Your parents themselves, they want you to study. They want you to succeed. But what they don't understand is once you're put out there, you start to struggle. You start to see that this is actually real life. And then you see, oh, okay, maybe I can go to therapy. But therapy doesn't work for everybody. And therapy is shamed upon in African communities because we do not know what mental health is in Africa. We just started to adapt to mental health. And with mental health comes suicidal thoughts, comes abuse, comes a whole bunch of different things. And those little things lead to incarceration. So do I think that
Something needs to be done?
Something does need to be done. And I think we as a community need to work on it. And not just youth, we need to also incorporate our parents and their parents. Yeah. All of us need to work on it.
Okay, so I'm really glad that you said we as a community need to work on that, and we also need to educate our parents, because I feel like having knowledge and being educated can help. Especially, we just talked about how young people are young. They need a mentor, they need a parent, they need someone to lead them, do this and this and that. Because I feel like when you're growing, you have all these things going through your head. If you don't have somebody leading you or somebody showing you this and this and this and that, you might end up, in the wrong direction. So I'm really glad that you brought up the fact that education is key, and also our community. And is there anything you would like to add on that?
Oh yeah. I would like to say, adding to that what Ashish said, that there is a huge gap between the children and the parents, and that gap has to close. Like we really have to find ourselves as parents and children to find a way to communicate, even if it's hard for us to actually write it down or even talk about it. Yeah, so the huge gap between our parents and the children is so wide up because the parent wake up in the morning, goes at work. You are left to the child at home. Maybe you're just waiting. You're not going to school. Like, you're thinking a lot. A lot of things are coming on screen. You're on your phone. Friends are talking to you. You're feeling different. You don't know how to pass out this communication. Like you're feeling lonely, but you come out, try to communicate to people. They end up hurting you. So you'll fall back into your place and like, oh, what am I doing? And yeah.
So I'm gonna ask Kevin you a question. Wait, before I ask you the question, do you mind adding on to what we say?
Yes. Now, there's something very important here. I believe that the disparity in youth incarceration, given how maybe more black youths are incarcerated compared to the white youth. I believe this disparity is existing because of the differences in how young people of color are treated in America, and how our jurisprudential system sees a youth of color. Now, one thing we should note is that black youths are not arrested more because they commit more crimes. No. They are arrested more simply because of how the system predetermines us and how the system treats us as youths of color. We have a history of racial injustice that marks youths of color as people who commit crime. You see them frequently getting stopped by the police, getting searched. And when you have these rackets with the system already, you find yourself getting suspended from school, expelled and arrested, right? When you go to court, you're harshly charged, sometimes denied bail, wrongful convictions just because of color. So I think it's very important to note that youths of color are not getting arrested more than the youths who are white because they commit more crime. No, it's just how the system. It's what we call is exactly what we call racial injustice, and so it must stem from a jurisprudential standpoint where we are all seen as equal, not a situation where a cop would just pull you over just because you were black, and then your white friends would just right. Racial injustice in how it's embedded in this jurisprudential system.
Okay, so I'm gonna get back to you on that question, and this is also a general question. We're talking about closing the gaps between parents and also young people. How close do you think the gap will be in the future? Do you think there's still gonna be a wide gap, or do you think with education the gap is gonna get smaller and smaller?
Yeah, I think it will work. The gap will come if we create more awareness.
Okay.
If we tell people this is going on and try to help the community understand how these people are coming out. It's something which has already been done. So we have to work together to come with a solution. And some of the solutions are laid out, but not everybody knows about them. So they can't actually exercise them. So the best way is just first, I think it's create awareness, because not everybody knows how to deal with the situation or even go with it.
So I think that yes, there will be some people who will be open to learning more about awareness and using that. But I also think there are some people who have a fixed mindset. They do know there's issues going on with the youth. Their own children are suffering. But will they want to come and learn with us? Probably not. They just think, if I just send my kid to school, if they get good grades, they'll be fine. But no, that does not happen. In these meetings, we would want parents to come and join us, to come and listen to what we have to say, to also provide some solutions. And even as IDEPI as a group, we try and bring the youth together, try and talk to them, try and have conversations, know what's going on in their lives, let them know that we ourselves went through what they are going through. We suffered the way they suffered, and we will continue to do so. But as a community, if we have each other, we can get through it together, and we would love for our parents to be part of it.
That's good. So Kevin, I asked Sam and Ashley, do you think the gap with enough education and awareness, do you think we'll be able to bridge the gap between, parents, community leaders, and all these people, and also with the youth?
Yes. One thing the community needs is sensitization, education on the impact of youth incarceration, how youth incarceration today influences the lives of very many youths, and what community-based initiatives can provide in return.
Okay.
Now, what we need in the community is a standardized risk assessment instruments where young people can be objectively assessed and their needs identified. We must identify the risks they pose to the society and their levels of need, rather than exposing them to the adverse effects of juvenile facilities. We need a system where youths can lead normal lives, while participating in programs that empower them, improve their behavior, and reduce the chances of repeated offenses. So community sensitization and education must start from the data. We must show that the confinement or detention of youths in prisons, prison-like facilities has not been effective in deterring crime and rehabilitating our youth. And like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to rehabilitation and crime deterrence, and when it comes to detention, rehabilitation and crime deterrence are the two key inextricable objectives here. And so we need a structure that deters recidivism and rehabilitates our youth through positive reinforcement. So the community must understand the meaning of positive reinforcement and how this can influence our young people today.